What's going on, everyone? Today is October 13th. It is the AM session. I am doing a little bit of a live trading. I'm doing the training exercise for this week. I am trading on paper. It is simulated. Full disclaimer and disclosure, not using real money. I apologize. I'm starting this a little bit late as we're already 30 minutes into the session, but I am not trading until after 10 o'clock. I'm going to try to do the training exercise, the silver bullet, in between 10 and 11 a.m. So I'm just kind of watching price right now, kind of just doing some tape reading, warming up to it. Apologize that I started this a little bit late, but hopefully you get some insight as we get a little bit later into the session. Price is tapping into that BISI on the 1 minute right here. So in 3 seconds, if we close, right? So now I'm curious to see how closure reacts, right in here. As price hits the play around this. But yeah, I'm curious to see how we play in here. It probably is gonna, right now it's just very shaky and oscillating. So eventually I would like to see price push away from one of the two, but preferably down. Nothing on a 5 minute right now. This is just being used as an order block. And now it's respecting that BISI. Right, there's nothing here that you're going to want to trade as a trader, right? Obviously note that it is Friday. Note that we had a very large day yesterday. But with regards to if you're trading right now or looking for trades, there's not a whole lot that you can utilize. If I go back to NQ, you can see NQ turtle souped is now going lower into this area. So I mean, obviously my draw is down here. So I'm curious to see if we can continue doing that. ES is just hanging around, right? And Q is doing what it's supposed to be doing. ES is not really giving it the time of day yet. Still respecting the CIVI right here, but I've closed above the daily consequent encroachment of the BISI. Nothing but straight chop. Coming up until 5 minutes. You got 5 minute closure. Sorry, price is running higher. My roommate was talking to me. Yeah, still heavy-handed there. Curious. We still have a little bit more free value, but I want to know if price actually closes outside of this 4-hour breaker, right? So my main focus this 4-hour breaker. We've got 19 minutes until we close. So if we can close back in it, then I'll be a little bit more confident. But we still have some areas up in here that we could reach in towards. All right. It wants to put that up there. All right, so this is dollar pushing into this area. Like I said, I'm curious to see if we can get some form of reaction like that. I'm gonna delete this BISI for right now. Just gonna put CB I 15-minute. Now we have a BISI right here. If we can come below this low, right? If we can come below this low, I'll view this as a breaker, right? That would become a breaker. In here, we have a high, a low. We take out the high. If we displace below this low, I would use this as a breaker. Notice how price is already getting a little sensitive, but it didn't quite reach down in here, which I would want it to pull it down a little bit lower. Doesn't have to, but it would be a lot more ideal if it could do that. Now I'm watching this high. This high is filled the 15-minute SIBI, right? You've got the SIBI right here that just got filled. So I'm curious if we hold this high. Obviously, we are still respecting this BISI, but I'm curious to see how that plays. Because now we're back inside that breaker. And on a 4-hour, we have about 15 minutes left. So obviously price can slip outside the breaker on the 4-hour, but I would want to see that next 4-hour candle close. 4-hour closes in 16 minutes. Price is obviously respecting the top half of this consequent encroachment, so it's not necessarily giving me the time of day with regards to bearish behavior. "16 minutes until news. Consumer sentiment at 10. DXY is still staying heavy-handed, not looking like it wants to pull back into these areas, which is a little concerning because you would like price to come and balance a little bit of this. But if we do close above the SIBI, I'm perfectly fine with that too. Now you're starting to see that mixed market. You're starting to see this pull down a little bit more as this is going higher. So we might not quite get back down into here. But we are still, looks like we're maintaining closure above the consequent encroachment of this daily BISI. And it looks like we actually are going to close above this SIBI too. Still have 8 seconds for closure. All right, so price obviously closed above that. This is starting to slip below that. We did not close below the BISI though, so we could mohawk it, but I would rather price start to go lower here. Like I said, I want this low to act as market structure for me. Curious to see if it uses this as inversion or if it wants to come a little bit lower and potentially use the consequent encroachment on the daily, this dotted line, as inversion. Right? Either something like this, something like this. We did close below this, so now I'm curious to see if we can use this as inversion. There's a little SIBI right here. Right, so I'm curious to see if price forms a high in and around here. Curious to see how price responds here. It also can utilize consequent encouragement of this candle. And if it doesn't want to do any of these three, I would assume price is going to come back down into here. But it looks like price is inverting here. This is still doing what I want it to do with regards to inverting that BISI and respecting the SIBI. But I still need price to deliver below this low. This obviously is not here. We'll leave those two though. Still want to see price get back below with displacement, this SIBI low, and break this low. Right, if we can break this low with displacement and get back below this SIBI low on the daily, then I'll start to really identify potential areas for interest. Price is now just going to oscillate in between these two areas. This could mean dollar is going to dip back down into these original levels I talked about, which means we could have just this deeper retracement high into here and then wick on like a 5-minute or a 15-minute. So this is not it. What I'll do is I'll keep this here. If it doesn't want to do that, could come down into here. Right? Something that I'm identifying. Looks like it is digging down into here. All right, if I'm bearish, I need this to occur, right? I need this low to be taken out, and I need some form of displacement and retracement inside 10 and 11 a.m. There's still plenty of time. We have 10 minutes till news, 10 minutes to the 4-hour closes. So I'm watching these next 10 candles to see if we finish on that 10th candle above or below this breaker. Right, there's an order block right here potentially. So if for whatever reason I'm watching to see if we close above or below the mean threshold of it. And I'm just, my eyes go to this blue line, see if we can close above or below it. Because this could be a failure swing, right? We could be just creating a failure swing. Price is now dipping into this. I like that price is actually on DXY coming down into this area, at least testing the top half of this inverted SIBI. While this is, even though it is going higher, it's not really going higher, at least yet. It's just kind of still staying in between this high and this low. It's still just wicking the mean threshold of this order block. Has not closed above it. Has not closed above the 4-hour breaker. So right now I'm still viewing this as a potential failure swing. This is starting to pull up after actually pulling into this SIBI, right? So that's what I want. I want price to, there's a volume imbalance right here. Little tiny BISI right here too, but this is more of the area in which you want price to at least fill. At least this is the minimum threshold. Obviously it could come to consequent encroachment and it could fill all this, but at least with regards to price closing on a 15-minute time frame in 7 minutes, it looks like price closed back above it, which is good. Right, look at NQ again, still just hanging around here. Right now, price is actually using this SIBI in here as inversion, but it's still not closing back above the 15 mean threshold of that. So we're kind of reclaiming this original BISI and using the SIBI as inversion now that we've kind of cut back through it, looking as if price could go higher. But I believe, this is just me, that this could be a failure swing and we could just displace all the way back through all this. We still have 3 minutes till consumer sentiment. All right, price closed there. Did close above the mean threshold of this. This looks like it could dig a little bit deeper. So I'm curious if we want to run the high on this and potentially turtle soup it, or just reclaim the SIBI high one more time, use this as liquidity, and then go lower, or it could still obviously be a failure swing. Still identifying that. Right, just because it closed once doesn't mean anything because it's a 1 minute time frame, right? If I go to a 2 minute or a minute, a 4 minute and above, it's all wick still. Right now you can see prices still kind of tugging lower. So just because it closed once doesn't mean anything, but it just opens my mind to price potentially going higher. It doesn't invalidate anything that I'm looking for. But I am going to want to see displacement through these areas if and when we decide to go lower. I'm going to run to the bathroom. I'll be right back. 5 minutes. Okay, let me see if no one else is trying to get in. Okay, we're good. Delete this. Looks like we are going to potentially maybe take this high if we want, or still failure swing at it. Kind of viewing this as an order block. Now, so if I zoom in, right, there's this candle, but then this candle potentially as an order block. So really my main focus is how does price play with regards to closure here. I'll make this yellow so y'all can see it. Let me take this off. I'm gonna take this off for now, but that's still kind of what I'm potentially anticipating. Price is digging into this area while you're getting a little bit run higher here. Three minutes until news. All right, so we obviously closed through here. This is still looking like a failure swing, but obviously with news, it could run up and wick and go higher, or it could still hold as a failure swing. And Q is still kind of playing in between its opening range. These next 2 minutes are crucial because obviously we're in and around this breaker, top half of it. Look at the immediate rebalance right here. All right, you've got an immediate rebalance right there. Ten seconds. All right, so price obviously closed back inside this breaker. Now I need to see some displacement. Now you can see the reaction here. Now it gets fun. All right, so I see this as a failure swing, but I want to see closure below this low. All right, I want to see closure below that. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take this off. Remember, I need a SIBI. All right, I want to see closure there. Like I said, there is this 15-minute breaker though, but I am wanting that too. NQ is going lower. This is obviously going higher. You can understand why we pulled up into here, how we pulled into this SIBI as inversion and started seeing that reaction higher. Now we don't necessarily need closure below this low, but it is something that I would prefer. And it's in and around it. But now I need a SIBI to form. Right. This could be viewed as a breaker, but I'm not going to view it as a breaker yet until we actually get full closure. Notice the immediate rebalance right now, so there is no SIBI. Like to see how this uses it as inversion. There's a little volume imbalance. Price did not close back inside this BISI. Still using it as inversion. Now this is this daily CB low that I'm looking for. We closed back below that too. I'm curious on if we do respect this area in here. Right, it's kind of like the idea that I'm looking for. This is still kind of just hanging out. Still reacting there. Remember, it's since the training exercise is silver bullet, I need a SIBI. Now, if I go to a 5-minute, there's no SIBI yet. 4-minute, 3-minute, 2-minute. There's no SIBI here yet. But that could be entries for you, right? You could have been, it's a seller up here and play this high or play around here. Just that whole inversion model right there. 30 seconds. I do not use the 30-second time frame. I try not to, at least. I don't want to get people in that habit. But yeah, there could be one in the 30-second. But it's okay. I'm not worried about being at the very, very top, right? I'm not too worried about that. Price will offer me a SIBI on whatever time frame it needs to, right? Right. We're starting to potentially form one on a 3-minute. Right. So this 3-minute closes in 2 minutes. So I'll check that back in 2 minutes. You can watch it actually. Price is sensitive to this bearish or bullish breaker right here, though. Right on a 15-minute, this was a breaker. That's okay. Yes, the regular trading hours gap. Right. You're gonna want price to potentially fill that. There's a little SIBI right here. I like that this SIBI also aligns with this daily SIBI low. I'm just kind of waiting. Price might not want to return back up into this area. Just waiting for price to offer me a SIBI to form. There's a SIBI right here. This SIBI is actually, it's a breaker right there. SIBI right here. All right. My first partial will be midnight open. All right, that's one partial. And I'm going to play this low as my terminus. So you guys saw that, how I entered that. I'll turn my executions on. Did y'all see that? Yes, no, maybe so. Everyone saw how I did that? Notice how my stop is above the daily SIBI low in this breaker. And it is in my risk threshold, and my entry is in the criteria that it needs to be in. I have my partial at midnight open, and then I have my overall terminus. Does anyone here listen to Drake? What do y'all think about the new album? Also, can y'all still see the does my chart freeze when I click into here? Anything? Does it freeze or is it still ticking for y'all? Because I'm currently looking at the chat right now on the Google Meet screen, but I was curious if price is still ticking. Like, can you still see it tick or does it freeze? Still good? Sweet. Okay. If you guys have any questions, I will definitely look into whatever, but I'm going to keep it here. I'm not going to go into. Um, but yeah, hopefully this was helpful, guys. I mean, obviously the trade is still playing and anything can happen, but you guys are able to see me push the buttons. You guys, obviously, if you were on the call when I first started, you saw what I was looking for. You saw how I eventually, like how I handled everything, right? What was my demeanor going into it? Did I ever see or seem lost, confused, frustrated, stressed? Price wasn't doing what I wanted to do. No, I'm very open to all-minded things. I kind of keep an eye on dollar and have an idea of what I want dollars to do, and then I pair that with, obviously, I'm not a big silver bullet guy, but this is the process of it, right? This is what that looks like, right? And everyone's a little bit different, but you guys were able to see everything kind of unfold before it happened, as it happened, and it's still happening right now, right? The trade's not over with. I could still lose this trade, right? Obviously, you can see dollar pulling higher now. And I will say, guys, like anything in life, right? People make things look easy, but you have to remember, like, I've been doing this stuff for 6 years. Like, if you were on the live call and you heard some of my friends talk about me, like, I was a sicko with this stuff. I was obsessed. I left people. I crushed relationships with people to learn this stuff, to understand it in the way, in the manner that I do. And there's no ego here at all. This is just being as humble and as gracious as I can. But the reason I'm able to do this stuff and the reason I'm able to understand the markets in the manner I'm able to understand it is simply because of how much time I've put into it, all of the firsthand experience that I've needed and had to gain, right? It's it, I'm not special. Like, the reason I'm special is because I'm not special, and I want to read something to you guys because this is it right here. This is it right here. And I battled this, and you'll battle this, but preparing to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Scheduling time, preparing to do the thing isn't the thing. Scheduling time to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Making a to-do list for the thing isn't doing the thing. Telling people you're going to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Messaging friends who may or may not be doing the thing isn't doing the thing. Hating on yourself for not doing the thing isn't doing the thing. Hating on other people who have done the thing isn't doing the thing. Hating on obstacles in the way of doing the thing isn't doing the thing. Writing a banger tweet about how you're going to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Fantasizing about all the adoration you'll receive once you do the thing isn't doing the thing. Reading about how to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Reading about how other people did the thing isn't doing the thing. Reading this essay isn't doing the thing. The only thing that is doing the thing is doing the thing, right? Like, you have to just continuously do the thing. Notice how I'm not touching my stop. And notice what I do with my stop when if and when my partial gets hit. Notice how I try to never talk in certainty either. It's always if this, when this, if this, when this. Like, it's all certain. It's never certainty. I don't know what's going to happen. Price could rip through and destroy my stop loss right now. All right, I'll cut risk in half. Until price gets back below this midnight open, I'll move break even. I'll cut it a little bit more. Yeah, that's fine. I'll keep it there. Right? So I'll make about 2% on this trade. Risking 0.5%. So you're looking at like a 1 to 3. Nothing crazy. Right? Even if my stop does get hit, even though it's not at break even, I still will make money on the trade, right? I made over 0.5% on the partial. We'll make about a 1.5% on the terminus. Right? Where's NQ? Pulling down into this draw, right? That was one of the first things I noted. That was what made me want to, right? The draw wasn't as clear on ES, right? Notice how I'm not playing this. I don't need to play this. It's Friday. I'll play this. But notice how this isn't as relative equal as this is. This is more relative equal. Let me know in the chat if you guys would like this more. If you guys would like stuff like this a little bit more. You get a lot of learning out of this, right? And I've done this before. This isn't the first time I've traded in front of people. I've traded live in front of people, and I will do this live. You might say that, oh, well, the person, it's demo, it's different. Nope, I'll still be the same person like I am right now with live money. I didn't want to do it live because it's just, I wanted to do the training exercise. And it has been a while since I've traded in front of people. But eventually, yeah, I don't mind doing this stuff live. I don't mind showing you guys this stuff because trading should not be stressful. Right? The reason it's stressful is because either two things. You don't know what you're doing and or you're risking too much. If you know what you're doing and you're not risking too much, and guess what? You're going to see me take losses. The more I start to do stuff like this, you guys are going to see me take losses. You're going to see me sit here and not trade at all. You're going to see what it's like when I don't see anything that I like, right? You guys saw me for the first hour not see anything that I liked, right? Obviously, I was waiting for a certain time frame, but when I saw something, I executed. Apart from the entry itself, there's so much to learn of the pre-open process. That was great. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. You know, I would be doing all of y'all a disservice not to show you guys this stuff. I'm comfortable enough with myself and my trading process to open myself to you guys, right? Whether it's live or it's not live, it doesn't matter. All the stuff is the same. Here, I'll even order block, order blocks. I want to see this breaker be used as inversion though. So I want to see if we can stay closed below this breaker. I'm gonna look a little bit more into dollar. I don't really go lower than a 5-minute, but now that we're kind of already dealt with all this, obviously you can see we dipped into that SIBI. I'm not going to kind of do anything more there, but now I could use a breaker in here, right? I've got this as an order block. Actually, I'm just going to use this as an order block. And if price decides to pull back in there, look at the closure in this breaker, right? If we dip below this low, watch what I'll do with my stop. Right? If we get back below and close below the midnight open, watch where my stop goes. Hi, Leah. Thank you. Notice how I'm not in a rush to move my stop. I'm not nervous. I'm not scared. I already won money on this trade, and even if it hits my stop, I already won money. I'm still positive. It's fine. If this was live, I would be content with it because I would have already came out in profit, and it's Friday. Right? And how many handles is this? This is, call it 43.95, right? You could have just taken it to 43.90, right? There's your 5 handles, right? It was about a 10 handle trade on my partial, right? This is an order block. This is an order block or a propulsion block, one of the two. It doesn't matter. To me, they're just both order blocks. Carson in front of charts on a Friday built different. I have been in front of charts every day of every hour that you could think of. Waiting for closure here. Still no closure. I want closure. Some people might move. Some people already might do whatever, but I still want closure before I move my stop. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just do this, make this a little bit cleaner. I'm going to go, I'm not really worried about DXY right now. I want to keep my focus on ES, so I'm just going to go straight to I'm going to keep this all on ES. Right? I'm going to take this off. 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 I'm just going to focus on what's in front of me. Right here. My terminus. Right, this is now an order block. Me, I'm viewing it as an order block. Of this BISI right here. Curious to see how closure reacts in and around there. I'm also going to note the mean threshold of this breaker block. I'm just going to put like a dotted line here. And I want to watch closure of that too. Right? And I will not be here on the call this weekend, so obviously I'll make sure to do my journal submission like everyone else, but then obviously if you were on this call, you understood what kind of happened and occurred. I also want to note the mean threshold of this candle, which is this candle right here. I'm curious to see closure. If we close back above here, I'll probably just go break even. We did close here, so I am going to go break even. No reason to take the loss, even though it's not a P&L loss. No reason to have a red trade, right? But what's going to happen is if we can close back below here, I'll move my stop to this high, which is just a little bit more down. Now notice the closure of this up close candle, but notice the open of the following, right? Even though it did close here, it opened right at it. Goes right back below this BISI. I want to see this be used as inversion. Still haven't closed below this midnight open. So it's not like I'm not sitting here focused on my terminus or anything. Focused on price at hand. I want to see if price can actually use this and go lower. Hey Carson, did it become an order block on the 1022 candle or the 1024 candle? $10.24 in my opinion. $10.24 in my opinion. Hey Carson, why don't you use the bottom candle as the start of your order block? If you can give me a specific time, I can look at it. I mean, I'm using the bottom of these candles right here. Bottom of this candle, bottom of this candle, bottom of this candle. I'm trying to use singular candles. So I am using the bottom of the candles. I'm using the lows of these up close candles, but I'm using them as singular. I'm not bunching them together in groups. When I'm on a 1 minute, I like to use singular candles. Yes, candle closure is always going to be more important in my point of proof. Because candle closure is actually like the full-on data feed that you're getting across all platforms of brokers. Wicks are going to be manipulative on it's going to be a broker to broker basis. But when that candle closes, that candle should close relative across all platforms and brokers. Wicks are going to be different. They're going to be manipulative. Now, if you also note right here, we've got these relative equal highs. Right? You can see that. Price spiked through it and still closed back below this order block. So if and when price decides to go lower and close below this midnight open, right? We still haven't closed it. We've tested that midnight open 3 times. I'll move my stop just to this high. I'll move it a little bit lower. Bring these out just to start to notice. Could just be reclaiming these order blocks. Right now, price is just consolidating. I go look at DXY is still going higher, NQ still pushing towards this relative equal low set. Still not really being too sensitive to this E yet though. Starting to use that BISI as support. Curious to see if this high holds. Relative equal lows in here. There's a little tiny BISI right here. Not too worried about it. We go on a 5 minute. Let me look at the 5 minute really quick. Obviously, there's a BISI in here that we're playing off of in that midnight open, which is why you're starting to get that retracement. Our price is going to be pretty sensitive to that. I'm curious to note the consequent encroachment of this. Curious to see if we stay below that. And I try not to have all these annotations on my chart, but I'm trying to show you guys what I'm looking at. You really don't want a lot of annotations on your charts, but obviously as you're learning and you see things, you want to mark them, but I'm just showing you what my eyes see. Could want to come test this breaker again too, and that'll stop me out at break even, and that's okay. Looks like it's going to test it. We'll see how sensitive it is. Looks like it's pretty sensitive to that breaker. Now what I'm going to want to view, I'm going to take all this off right now because there is a lot going on. Price decides to hold this high. Obviously, I'll remain in the trade. If it doesn't, it'll take me out. But now I'm curious to see if we do get back below this. See if dollar's pulling back anywhere. Had a little bit of a pullback. Touch this. Didn't quite get into this order block, but touch. There's a little tiny BISI right here. That's why you see ES going lower or going higher. Looks like I did survive that for now. I want to see if we close here. Then I'll use this as an order block. All right. So what I'm going to do, price close below there. I'm going to mark out the mean threshold of it. It's off. But I am going to move my stop a little bit closer now. I'm going to move it to above that high. All right. That was a little close right there, huh? That's why you have things for a reason, right? I put that break even there for a reason. I let it do its thing. I don't try to fidget with it too much. I don't try to do too much with it. I just let it sit there, and if it stops me out, it stops me out. That's fine. If it doesn't, great, and I can continue to adjust from there. Notice the little SIBI I just created right there. Notice how price didn't close. Price didn't really close above this order block, but there is a little SIBI right here. What I'll do is if we close below here, I'll put my I will put my stop loss above the mean threshold of that order block. Notice how not getting too overzealous on moving my stop loss at break even. Notice how I moved it at exactly break even, but I didn't get too overzealous with it, and look how that saved me. Right? I didn't notice how I didn't move it to this high yet either. I wanted closure below the lows to move it at this high. It didn't give me that, so I didn't quite move it to that high, but I still had it at break even. Notice how that little tiny sliver gave me enough margin to still be in the trade. Looks like dollar's running higher and Q's still going lower. Curious to see if this candle closes. Now what I'm going to view, I'm going to view this as a breaker. Right? Notice the immediate rebalance right here. Immediate rebalance. Still didn't close below that that midnight open. Three, two, one. Price close there. All right, so that goes there. Stop loss management is gold right now. Now I'm wanting to see this. He uses as inversion and continue lower. Notice how my uh, stop loss is also, or stop profit is also in and around the mean threshold of this entire 4-hour breaker. We still haven't even gotten out of this breaker, right? We still have this whole 4-hour breaker that I'm looking to see if price can get out of. Still haven't even gotten out of it. Oops. We continue to check NQ, make sure that it hasn't taken this yet, because once this takes it, usually ES should be taking those lows too. Right? And if price does end up going back out here, right, if we form a high somewhere in here, that'll be the next area that I move my stop. Notice how 90% of the time, guys, as I've been doing this, I've been not clicking, dragging, pressing buttons or anything like that. I've been just watching, waiting, closure this, closure that, understanding this, understanding that. Once I get to a certain area of understanding, then I can move certain things. Curious to see if this high holds. We've got a swing point right here. And if so, I could use this as an order block. But I am going to want to start to see price get a little heavy-handed to the downside now that we've kind of tested the midnight open as resistance, right? I want to see price start to actually get a little bit of speed here in the next 20 minutes. Curious to see if we use this as an order block. relative equal lows. This is still on its way lower. This is still going higher. Give an immediate rebalance right here. So no, I'm not looking over here at these numbers either. I don't focus on that. I usually keep them as ticks, but I never look at I'm not sitting here staring at these numbers either. Notice how I don't have my P&L up. I'm not sure. I don't have my account balance or equity or anything up. Thanks for sharing this live. The waiting is what I struggle with not only doing, but understanding. Hopefully you were able to sit here and watch me wait. A lot of it is waiting, right? It's waiting for this to unfold, but then it's also waiting all this out and understanding how to utilize my stop loss. Hopefully it's insightful to see someone actually do it real time. You have another immediate rebalance right here. I'm not going to highlight it, but just note that's there. My stop loss management is exactly what you need to see today. Good. Once we start to deliver below this breaker, right? Once we deliver and close below the breaker, my stop loss is going to go above this breaker, right? Above this high. Notice how I started expecting that speed once we got below the midnight open, right? Or once we got below that midnight open, tested it, came back and delivered off this breaker. I was wanting some speed. Right now we're starting to get a little bit bigger candles. Now I just want it to close below. Three, two, one. Stop goes here. Notice price create a SIBI. Dollars obviously is going higher. Now this just took these relative equal lows, right? Those just took those relative equal lows. So now I'm looking for ES to follow suit. With that being said, with NQ already taking these lows, I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with my stop loss, which means I'm going to move it to the midnight open. Right? I don't want that being tested again. Three minutes until hourly closure. What you guys think? You guys think you guys can do this? You guys think that this is something in your arsenal, something you can handle, something you can achieve? I know it is. I have no doubt in my mind. If I can do it, you can do it. Like I said, I'm special because I know I'm not special. Right? I know everyone on this can do it. I just sat here and did it in front of you guys. Right? And no, I'm not all happy, dory, hunky, excited. There's no dollars actually made on. I didn't make any money on this. If someone wants to actually raise their hand now, you guys can. If someone wants to come and chat and ask me a question live, you can. Now that we've gotten to this point in the trade, but there's nothing special about any of this. I didn't make any real dollars here, right? This is all simulated. It's all paper trading, but it's the same thing live, right? There's nothing different about the way I handle any of this, whether it's demo or live, right? It should be the same exact thing every time. But you know, it looks like for the most part, you guys did get insight out of this, so I'm glad. But you know, take what you can out of it and utilize it in your trading. Bring this out a little bit just in case it wants to. Notice NQ took it. XY still going higher though. This is still not taking my terminus. Little tiny civvy right here. Volume imbalance here, volume imbalance there. But also, there's no excitement here either. Like I said, I didn't make any money here. I don't need to be excited. I don't need to do it. Like this is just the stuff that I've been learning for years. The stuff that it's just proof. It's just more proof, and for my confidence in my arsenal that this stuff does work. This stuff is true. The stuff that Michael does teach, and the stuff that we try to each week put in front of you guys, they do work, and we actually are using this stuff. You didn't see any trend lines. You didn't see any RSIs. You didn't see any of that stuff. This is straight stuff that Michael has been teaching for years. And there's little things too, right? Like there's little things like I outlined this immediate rebalance, right? Why did I outline that? Because if that immediately rebalanced, I didn't want price to go back above it. Did it? No. That's why you see the swing point unfold below it, right? There's little things, these little signatures and characteristics in price that I understand, that I've watched and I've seen happen time and time again, that helps me guide myself as I go through it, of what price can and can't or should and should not do. Just tapped into this little tiny civvy right here. Just leave that. Very sensitive to the consequent encroachment. Now as we're approaching closer, I'm going to move this lower above this SIBI. Right? One SIBI, there's a SIBI right here, a couple volume imbalances, there's a SIBI right there. Looks like Michael used the same SIBI but on NASDAQ today. Yes, I can go over my initial stop placement. All right, so my initial stop was above this breaker, right? We had the SIBI in here. My initial stop was above this breaker right in here. This is recorded too, so you'll be able to go and see it. But I had my stop above this breaker. Once we had delivered below it with regards to closure, I'm using this breaker as theory, but using the SIBI as my entry technique, and my stop placement is above the breaker. It was at about 4,400, maybe a little bit above it, 4,400. I noticed the price had immediately rebalanced in here, right? There was no SIBI or anything up here that could go and fill. So I used this breaker high as my stop placement. The psychology throughout this trade was amazing. I'm sure you've built this confidence by continuously doing it. I still am working on hitting bigger goals during a trade. For instance, I would exit the short on the 808 low, but not leave the runner on the terminus. Right? That just takes practice. And how do you practice that? You leave it, right? You leave it. You take your partial, like I did, but you leave it, right? And yes, that stop placement of me having that at break even, that takes patience, that takes an understanding, that takes time and time and time and time again. 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10 traders, even if they had the same trade, probably would have gotten stopped out on this right here, right? This probably would have stopped people out, right? That's where experience comes in, right? Understanding my threshold of where and when I want to move my stop. That takes time, but that's okay, right? You can still time and time again learn that by getting stopped. I learned that by getting stopped right out at break even on moves like this. What helped me identify this? Well, there's breaker, right? This breaker. You saw how close it got to it. So yeah, that just takes time. Thank you, Carson. My bias was telling me the price could want to go higher at the 1 hour breaker block and fair value gap and midnight open, and then watching your bias and price go lower. This is the struggle I need to figure out. Thanks again. Yeah, not a problem. Now that we're getting closer here, this is where it gets a little tricky because I don't know how I want to. Probably going to just leave it right here. All right. As we get closer here, I'm not worried about really getting stopped out anymore. All right. This is like a $500 difference. This is still a little high. I would not want to see this SIBI get filled. Oops. And this is all preference at this point. I want that to stay unfilled. Means I'm going to have my stop here. still going lower into this inefficient area, right? Inefficiency still going lower into that area. Still can take these lows. Dollar still going higher. And this is where you're going to get the most antsy, right? When price is close to hitting it. And it's hard to understand, well, how much do I want to risk? Because I never actually just click out of the trade, right? I always let my take profit, my stop loss take me out of my trade. So when you get to these areas, right? One more down closure candle, I'll move my stop above the SIBI. If we can close below here, I'll move that below that SIBI. All right, we close there. I'm going to move it above this SIBI. There's a little tiny SIBI right here. And identify this as an order block. What's the mean threshold of this? Every down close candle, I'm going to start moving this. I'll move it below or above this threshold right here. And that's the trade. There you go. Here's the business. Let me know, guys. What you think? You guys get a lot of insight out of this? There it is. You saw it before. You saw it during, and here we are after. Right? Other than that, if you guys have any other questions, I will stay for about 5 to 15 minutes. If not, that's okay. Right? This is for you. This isn't for me. I knew I can do this stuff. I've been doing it for years. This is nothing new. But I wanted to show you guys real time what it looks like. I appreciate you guys if you guys took the time to hop on this call. Enjoy your weekend. I will not be here on the Sunday call. But you guys, obviously, if you saw this, you know that I participated in this week's activity. It was a silver bullet. You saw the silver bullet. You saw me wait for it, execute, and then see my management following that. Enjoy your Friday, guys. Enjoy your weekend. You know, both inside and outside of trading. You know, and please, 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 if there's something that you guys can do, you know, if you guys could send me a tweet on Twitter or whatever and let people know that this call was insightful and that you did get stuff out of it. We're probably, it is recorded and we're probably going to put it out on YouTube too. So people after the fact can see it. But whether you post in the community or you post on Twitter at me, whatever the case is, you know, the value that you got out of it, you know, it allows other people to get in this too, right? Because obviously you guys are getting a lot of value seeing stuff like this, and I'm going to continue doing stuff like this. But at the end of the day too, I want to get, like, this is something that I'm not scared to do. This is, as this community grows, I want people to understand that this stuff is real. This stuff is true. This stuff is actually happening, and it's actually changing people's lives. And if they're giving up on trading, or they never really tried it, or they put a shoulder to it, that's fine. If they're not the person, they're not the person. If they don't want to put effort, they don't want to put effort. But if you know individuals that are actually willing to give this a shot, let me help you, or let me help them and help you by guiding them through stuff like this, right? Whether it's training exercises, analysis, live trading sessions, midweek reviews, the group calls, whatever the case is, all of it plays its own hand. But there you go. That's the business, right? October 13th, New York AM session short, silver bullet, one partial, one terminus, both hit, about 2%, a little under 2%. Any questions? If not, I'll let you guys go. Perfect. Well, that is obviously it for me. Other than that, have a great Friday. Have a great rest of your weekend, both inside and outside of the markets. If I were you, this is my personal preference. Do not trade for the rest of the day. There's no reason, right? You guys just got a lot of learning. There's no reason to go try to put it in action right now. It's Friday. It's 11 o'clock. There's no reason, whether the market moves or it doesn't. It's been a crazy week. So just study. Whether you want to go back and watch the recording when we post it, that's fine. There's no reason to go in and try to do some actionable items today. There's really nothing that I see potentially unfolding. I just see, for the most part, ES going lower, DXY going higher. The length of that, I'm not sure. The duration of that, I'm not sure. But there's the business, guys. There you go. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Hopefully this was insightful, and I will see you. I will see you guys not this Sunday, so I'll see you guys next Wednesday, right? But I will still update you guys on my analysis going into Sunday night when I get home. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.